my name's Trudie. I'm one of the members here at iCuba and one of the vloggers. This week's vlog is all about teaching younger Breadies and lower level Breadies, strategies you can use, content you need to cover, and what could go wrong and how to keep them engaged. iCuba tends to have students aged between 3 to 15-year-olds, although they do also have many adult learners. There does need to be some difference between teaching a 3-year-old and teaching a 15-year-old, although there will be some similarities. For example, for both you'll need to expand on the content and encourage the Bready to use full sentences. Yes, even a 3-year-old, but obviously you adapt to their level. And you should be using TPR throughout. Remember, if you want to find out about using TPR in your lessons, you can watch one of our previous blogs, and here's the link below. As I mentioned, there'll be differences in techniques and approaches you'll use depending on the age of the Bready. So here are some strategies you can use when teaching the younger Breadies. So, strategies. The start of the lesson is an ideal time to identify the needs and the level of your Bready. Just ask some simple questions like, what's your name? Or how old are you? Or even, how are you? The Bready's response will help you to gauge the level and the ability of the Bready so you can adapt appropriately. Just like in all classes, no 3-year-old is going to be exactly the same as another 3-year-old. In fact, I've had some 3-year-olds that have completely shocked and thoroughly impressed me. So, strategy 1. Be energetic from the start. Smile, use TPR, and get them interested so that they want to participate in your lesson. Strategy 2. Introduce a teaching buddy or a toy or a prop that will get them hooked into the lesson. Or even use a different kind of hook associated with the lesson content. For example, if you're learning about colours, you could show them a picture of a rainbow. Strategy 3. Use TPR throughout the lesson and keep your language clear and simple. So for tasters, as you should be aware, there's no set amount of pages that you have to get through in a taster, so adjust the pace to suit the needs of your Bready. For lower level Breadies, you'll find yourself working probably on the first English words, the CGE book, or on Pickaroo 1A, Pickaroo 1B, or Pickaroo 2A, maybe 2B. If you'd like more information on how to teach tasters, here's the link below that you can watch one of our last vlogs. You then have normal lessons. So again, you'll probably find that for the lower level Breadies, you'll be working on the same booklet. So it'll be the first English words, the CGE booklet, or Pickaroo 1A, 1B, 2A, or maybe 2B. For both tasters and normal lessons, it's really important that you expand on the content. Whereas in tasters you have no set amount of pages, for your CGE booklet you should be covering no more than 2 pages in a lesson, which when you first look at a CGE book might seem like you don't have a lot to cover in a 25-minute to 30-minute session. But trust me, by expanding on them, there is. At iCuba, it's essential that their buddies are expanding on the lesson content. This means using what's on the screen and finding questions that relate to the content or furthering the information on the screen. So here's an example of how to expand. So here's first English words, the CGE booklet, and I've just picked a random page. We're going to look at page 34 to page 35, and that's all about fruits. Now here it can be tempting to just read the labels of the objects. That can be boring. It's important that the Bready learns a language, but you also need to be challenging them and keeping them engaged. Just reading these labels won't challenge the Bready and won't keep them engaged for long. Once you've familiarised yourself with the vocabulary, or even to help familiarise yourself, you could play a game of I Spy. You have to spy the objects and circle them. Already, learning the vocabulary becomes much more exciting. This will also help you to identify what terms the Bready already knows and the words and areas that they'll need to practice. So you can see for this lesson I would also add in a song. So upload a song into the classroom that relates to the lesson content. Lots of kids love music, and songs with actions as well can help the Bready to embed the language. Get them to be active too. Get them to look for the fruits and vegetables that are mentioned. Or Even get them to draw. One of my extension activities is this. If they can use the board, for instance, I use the "this is in my basket" I put, and I get them to draw the objects within the basket. They have to be able to draw the fruit and tell me the name of fruit. It's really good for extending their vocabulary, and I'll find that this also helps them to naturally lead to encourage the use of full sentences rather than just saying strawberry, pear, banana. They'll now be saying red strawberry. I can then say how many red strawberries, which would lead on to 3 red strawberries. And if they're getting really confident, I have 3 red strawberries. So we've talked about how you could approach and expand on the content, just some ideas to get you started. Now the important stuff. What could go wrong? There's always a chance of something happening in a lesson that you won't be prepared for, but that is the world of teaching. You kind of have to expect the unexpected, and though you can try to be as prepared as possible, you can't always be prepared for every eventuality. So here are some things to bear in mind. When teaching a lower level Bready, there's a chance that you might feel the need to fill in the quiet time with speech, which can often be incidental language. Phrases like, "Okay, let's look at the next page, shall we?" This is very confusing for them. So when teaching the lower level Breadies, try to avoid doing this and keep your speech simple and clear. Try to just say the essential speech that is needed. For instance, rather than saying to the Bready, "Okay, can you repeat that again, please?" Just try and say, "Can you repeat?" and reinforce what you're saying with actions. Repeat and be consistent with those actions. Do not forget how important actions are. If you're new to a language, actions can really help to reinforce the vocabulary. So when speaking slowly, clearly, using simple sentences, don't forget your actions as well. Just because a Bready doesn't understand them straight away, the more you use them and the more consistent you become, the Bready will soon learn them. So don't give up. Crying. So sometimes you might have a Bready that might have just found out they have a lesson, or they might have just been thrown into it, or perhaps they're just tired and they want to sleep, or they just don't want to have an English lesson today. We all have them bad days, and for kids, sometimes this might mean that it ends in tears. Don't feel like you have to get all the content covered and that they have to retain all the vocabulary, because they're not in the right state of mind to do that. So instead, find ways to engage them. Now, I'll mention some ways and methods that you can use after this section, but things like distract them, find a toy, or even if your lesson isn't about a mouse, get out your mouse toy and get it to talk to the Bready. Hello. Sing if you can, if you've been gifted with the voice of an angel, or even if you haven't, like myself, singing can be a great engaging force. You could also use a video that might capture their interest, so being prepared and uploading things into the classroom is really handy. So you'll often find that you can gather quite the audience the other end whilst you're teaching, but don't let this put you off. Yes, they may occasionally take some pictures, but often this is just so that they can showcase to others what their child is capable of. So don't be weirded out or completely distracted. Still stay focused. Not speaking. So similar to the crying Bready, sometimes you'll get the silent Bready, which often the reasons can be quite similar to the crying Bready. Again, employ the same strategies you would use for the crying Bready. Don't be tempted to just overtalk and talk at the Bready. Just merely getting a toy and encouraging them to try and speak. We've all been there, and it's just a matter of staying positive, smiling, persevering, and giving the Bready some time to calm down. Sometimes this could last a whole lesson, and it is exhausting, but we're all different, and it takes everyone a different amount of time to feel comfortable. So just try your best to make that Bready feel comfortable. The disappearing Bready. So sometimes you'll be in the flow and then your Bready will just walk off. For young Breadies, it can be really difficult to maintain their interest, and sometimes they're just really easily distracted. So it's always good to try and learn their name from the start. So if they wander off, you can call them back using their name. Then welcome them back. Or again, maybe get a toy to show them that you're more interesting, that the shiny thing in the distance isn't. So hook them back in. This could also show that maybe they're just tired and that they need a little time out, a little break, which is a good time for some singing, some dancing, some physical activity, or maybe some drawing to really engage them. Pronunciation is so important at all ages, but especially with the lower level and the younger Breadies. They are new to the English language and learning to become familiar with the pronunciation of sounds and words. So it's really important that you integrate phonics into the lesson to help them. I always find that the whiteboard is a great tool to support this. So if a Bready is struggling with a particular sound, I'll click on the whiteboard screen, write the sound, we'll practice saying it, and then we can look at words with that sound in and sound them out phonetically. Practice that segmenting and blending the sounds. We could even draw the objects too. So it's really important to get this pronunciation right from the very start. Otherwise your Bready will be learning bad habits. The Parrot Bready. So for some lower level Breadies or younger Breadies, sometimes they just aren't quite sure when they're supposed to speak or what they're supposed to say. So to be safe, they just repeat everything. So keep calm, be patient, and use actions to help them understand turn taking. This will take patience and perseverance and consistency. So give it time. Cue cards can also be really helpful here, as they will illustrate to the Bready when to talk and when to listen. So I cue bar encourage buddies to get their Breadies to use sentences at all levels, but it's about pitching them appropriately. For lower level and younger Breadies, start with small, short, simple sentences and build them up as and when appropriate. For instance, starting with a red strawberry is a great start. Don't be too tempted to make them too complicated, as it will make hard for the Bready to remember and it could really knock their confidence. So let's take a look at engagement. So as I mentioned, puppets and toys can be great for younger Breadies, and they can be a really nice touch to start the lesson with a cuddly toy, get them to say hello, and keeping the Bready engaged and interested in the content that you're teaching. You could even get the puppet to become the teacher, or if partway through the Bready becomes a bit distracted, put on a different voice, get them to talk, and they might think, oh, that's a bit different. You can find yourself becoming quite theatrical once you get into using them. Songs are a great way to keep Breadies interested, as well as helping them to learn vocabulary. So traditional nursery rhymes are often a great tool. For instance, I always use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 once I caught a fish alive when I'm learning numbers 1 to 5 with Breadies. It helps to bring the vocabulary to life. So you might want to upload videos. This could be videos that are songs, but videos can also be used to expand on the content. For instance, if you're learning about animals, you could show a short video of animals. It not only keeps a Bready interested, but also allows them to interact with the content in a different way. But remember not to upload too many. Only 1 video or song should be uploaded per lesson. Definitely no more than 2. Actions. So I've mentioned it before and you'll have heard countless times already, TPR is essential. But it isn't just for you. So you could also encourage your Bready to use the actions. And this helps to keep them active, interacting, and is great for the kinesthetic learners and can also really help to embed the learning. Drawing is also a great tool. So most kids love drawing, and once they've got past the novelty of writing on the board for the first time and they've got the scribble out of their system, the drawing tool can be a great way to get them to show their understanding by circling or giving them the opportunity to illustrate what they know, or even to copy. For instance, if you're learning about feelings and emotions, you could model drawing a happy face and then get them to copy you. As always, I really hope this has helped. If you have any questions or anything else that you'd like to know, please do not hesitate to contact a member of the team. Best of luck in your teaching. Bye.